Thanks to the field of linguistics, we know much about the we know much about the development of the 5,000 plus languages in existence today. We can describe their grammar and pronunciation and see how their spoken and written forms have changed over time. For example, we understand the origins of the Indo-European group of languages, which includes Norwegian, Hindi, and English, and can trace them back to the tribes in Eastern Europe in about 3000 BC. So, we have mapped out a great deal of the history of language, but there are still areas we know little about. Experts are beginning to look to the field of evolutionary biology to find out how the human species developed to be able to use language. So far, there are far more questions and half theories than answers. We know that human language is far more complex than that of even our nearest and most intelligent relatives like chimpanzees. We can express complex thoughts, convey subtle emotions, and communicate about abstract concepts such as past and future, and we do this following a set of structural rules known as grammar. Humans use an innate system of rules to govern the order of words. Perhaps not. As more research may suggest, dolphins share this capability. They are able to recognize when these rules are broken. If we want to know where our capability for complex language comes from, we need to look at how our brains are different from other animals. This relates to more than just brain size. It is important what other things our brains can do and when and why they've evolved that way. And for there are very few physical clues. Artifacts. Let's see how to pronounce this word. Artifacts. Artifacts left by our ancestors don't tell us what speech they were capable of making. One thing we can see in the remains of early humans, however, is the development of the mouth, throat, and tongue. By about 100,000 years ago, humans had evolved the ability to create complex. For that, evolutionary biologists can only guess whether or not early humans communicate using more basic sounds. Another question is, what is about human brains that allowed language to evolve in a way that it did not in other primates? Is it primates? Let's see. Yeah, it's primates. Where am I? Primates. At some point, our brains became able to make our mouths produce vowel and consonant sounds, and we developed the capacity to invent words to name things around us. These were the basic ingredients for complex language. The next change would have been to put those words into sentences, similar to the proto-language. Let's see how to pronounce this one. Proto-language. Proto-language children use when they first learn to speak. No one knows if the next step, adding grammar to signal past, present, and future, for example, or plurals and relative clauses, required a further development in the human brain, or was simply a response to our increasingly civilized see how to pronounce it. Civilized way of living together. Between 100,000 and 50,000 years ago, though, we start to see the evidence of early human. No one knows the connection between this and language didn't suddenly get bigger, yet humans did become more complex and more intelligent. Was it using language that caused their brains to develop, or did their more complex brains start producing language? More questions lie in looking at the influence of genetics on brain and language development. Are there genes that what was this word? Mutated and gave us language ability? Researchers have found a gene mutation that occurred between 2000 and 100,000 years ago, which seems to have a connection with speaking and how our brains control our mouths and face. Monkeys have a similar gene, but it did not undergo this mutation. It's too early to say how much influence genes have on language, but one day the answers might be found in our DNA. Yeah. Oh God, goodness gracious, a lot of people here. I thought no one will came. Let's see this person, what he's saying or what she's saying. As far as I can tell, dolphins and monkeys have their own complexity with its own language that cannot entirely compared to the human language. From what I have read, dolphins communicate through sounds like clicks or whistles, while monkeys use smells, touching, and visual messages. What makes them complex is that they have their own uniqueness of communication that can only be understood with their own species. Unlike humans, these animals completely rely on sounds and touching, while humans can communicate each other with structure such as grammar. Do I need to read another more? Let's see this person, what he's saying or what she's saying. I think monkeys and dolphins do have complex language compared to other species of animals, but not as complex as the human language, although it's not all thought. And despite all the studies it might exist in that matter, I doubt we would be able to fully understand the language of those animals to affirm their language is less complex rather than more complex than ours. Hi team, I've got a doubt. It is allowed to write the words although and despite to express an alternative affirmation, or they should be disparate in different sentences. Thanks for the lesson. Let's see if they answer him. Yeah, it's unusual to use the two words together like this, but it's not impossible. They have slightly different meanings, so you could put them together as, what was this word? As a what? Rhetorical. As a rhetorical device, I suppose. If this is something you're planning to use, then make sure you're proofread first. There are some errors in the paragraph. Oh goodness. Yeah, he's correcting him. Have a lovely day, everyone. This is for me. That's